I think diversity is the answer to every question. Because, like I was saying with The Last of Us Part 2, you bring in a very diverse team to create a very diverse game, and then that's the ecosystem that produces the best quality and the best quality of life for everyone in it. But then the problem is you've got the why right-wing nationalism is so powerful is because this is an ecosystem which is vulnerable because it doesn't exert power over everyone in it. It holds their equality. But then if a white supremacist comes in and says, no, we're the best, they can't solve all their problems, we're the best. There will always be people who think like that because there are things to be gained like that. And so just all I can see is building the spaces and making them more diverse and trying to take over that way. Because it's a millennia old problem of how do you stop this patriarchal madness. And as far as I can see, diversity is the only way.
Alex and Jem, if you had to, have you got a feminist game? Is there a game that you think is like, because I only don't ask Matt because you told us The Last of Us is your example of your feminist game. It's just like, is there a game that you see as like, if you wanted to say to one of our feminist friends who's not into gaming, who thinks it's, what would be your feminist game that you'd point them towards? Alex, you still thinking?
I am. It's very difficult. Yeah.
Jem?
I don't think I would. I don't think that I can think of anything that I would say is a feminist game because I don't really think of gaming in that way. I think of gaming in the same way that I think of my life. You know, there are some bits that are sexist and there are some bits that aren't, and I potter through and deal with it as it comes up. So no, I don't think there's any games. I mean, like I said earlier,
I don't think I could answer that question immediately. I think there are feminist moments in games. There are moments where I suddenly go, "Oh, how exciting! I can be the same as the male character," or there's the same number of women as. I mean, the one that's driving me nuts at the moment is Left 4 Dead 2. Which is great relaxations, shooting loads of zombies, but on the character selection, there's one female. There are 3 men and 1 female. And so every time Oscar's sitting there going, ooh, what character shall I be? And I'll be the one woman. Great.
I think you've made the point there, actually. I think that what I spot more is the times when women aren't catered to, when something isn't diverse, or I do spot when something is diverse. Now I'll spot it's and I think that's really, that shows, I think, the world that we live in, that it's like a tidy house. You know, nobody notices that it's tidy, but they notice when it's messy. And I think, it's the same for me with gaming. I wouldn't know what a feminist game was, but I would know about the various bits in games where I've gone like, so annoying.
Yeah, so I suppose, Alex, the question is to you is, what's your best feminist moment in a game?
Well, I was just thinking actually of diversity in games, and I suppose one of the most diverse games I played this year was Strange Brigade, which is multiplayer. I think it's made by the same people who make Sniper Elite.
Diversity, but
it's really cool. It's like a 1930s comic kind of I can't think of the word. It's kind of like an adventure, but like comic book style, and yeah, it's all set in ancient Egypt, and you go raid tombs and shoot zombies, and it's really fun. But there's about 4 or 5 different characters that you can play, 2 of which are women, one of which is a Scottish woman with a shotgun. The other woman, I think, is a Zulu warrior, possibly, but she is kind of semi-naked, so that's possibly not good. And then there's mostly kind of Cockney bloke with a sniper rifle, and then the archaeologist, middle class white guy who has an extra power to open secret doors and stuff. And then there was one bonus character who was a kind of colonial, or well, I suppose it would have been what would have been the British Indian Empire kind of model Indian person, which was also quite fun to play. But yeah, in terms of like, I suppose ethnicities and things, it was fairly even, I would say. But yeah, it's a very difficult question to answer, really.
Yeah, no,
Um,
and I realised that
yeah.
after I asked it that I can't answer it myself, because generally,
That's not fair.
as a you know, whatever I am being, there's not a good idea to ask that question. So I'm going to ask you a different question instead, because I've been checking out.
Can I say one last thing on
Of
it?
course you can, Matt. Always.
One other thing that intersectional feminism gives you is you get to experience the profound joy that what diversity is and what is capable with diversity. So I'm exactly the same when I see a TV show where I'm like, oh, look at the breadth of talent and diversity, or you go, yeah, you can really experience it. And it's as simple as when I see when I'm out and about before the pandemic, when people actually went out, you see an interracial couple walk past holding hands, and you think 20, 30 years ago that would have been such a big deal. And seeing two little kids of different races playing together, that the simplest of things like that fills me with joy. And then when you get to see that in games and TV and film, that's diversity is the answer, in my opinion, and the joy that it brings.